Hi there, MusCle420 here, or rather
Muscleytg.
Yeah, so I'm here, and I would like to maybe discuss tanking more in depth. For this build is the ultimate tank build for vet, 4-man content, can do DLC dungeons, and you can also do trials in what I'm about to show you. Now granted, this is not an easy build to obtain. I will do an easy tank build for people who are just getting into tanking.
Hallelujah!
But
Holy
for now,
shit!
this is going to be my ultimate tanking build. And so without further ado, I'd like to get into that. So let's first we're gonna go ahead and talk about champion points. So in the recovery trees here and the resource trees, I like to call them. So this is what I run here. I do 37 into Warlord, reduces the cost of break free, which is fairly important. Not quite as important on a tank, but it is important nonetheless. Bashing focus is 16. Taking that cost down just a little bit because the shield play mechanic, the shield play enchantment for jewelry really isn't a thing anymore, especially for the type of tank that I run. So we do bashing focus. We run sprinter 6%, 9 points in a sprinter. It just reduces the cost of sprint, makes it a little bit better just to get around faster. 75 in a tenacity. Because we're not really relying on our recovery here, as you can see. We are just relying on our heavy attacks to do the majority of our recovery, and then we also have a skill that will help us get some recovery too. 61 into tumbling. Because we do a lot of roll dodging as a tank, we do like to roll dodge heavies if we can. That way we don't take any type of loss whatsoever on that. So if we get hit by a heavy attack, it will, especially in places like Black Rose Prison, heavy attacks sometimes come with a status effect. We want to make sure that we're dodging heavy attacks if we can, and then following up with the heavy attack to get that dodge roll cost back. 72 into Shadow Ward reduces the cost of block by 23%. Super good. Means you don't have to run sturdy. You can run sturdy pieces, but you don't have to now with Shadow Ward. I have points pumped into that. Okay, so in here we are running Blessed, 100 into Blessed, giving us an extra 15% healing done. That's for you and your party members, for if you have like a blood altar down or something like that. Increases critical damage and critical healing with magical abilities. So that's Blood Altar. Elfborn will definitely proc off that. It'll also proc off your Green Dragon's Blood. And it will also, I believe this also buffs Earthcore. I could be mistaken though, but if you are running Earthcore, Troll King, things like that, those do proc off of healing abilities or yeah, so Elfborn is important, and then this just increases the magic damage, and I believe that also it helps out your healing as well. I just put some points into here because I didn't have anything else to put into, but it helps out with a little bit of extra DPS that your tank will do with his one-handed abilities. And then 40 into Precise Strikes. Critical healing with stamina abilities is important, and so as a tank we do occasionally run Vigor, and this will Precise Strikes will buff Vigor. Alright, and then to the mitigation tree. This is a specific setup that I was running a while ago, and I just haven't changed it, but I believe this was Asylum Sanctorum as an off tank. champion points, but either way. I'm running 81 into Ironclad. Reduces your damage taken against direct damage attacks by 24%. Spell resistance, 1 point in there just because, whatever. 81 Thick-Skinned and 64 into Elemental Defender. Now, a typical decent tank CP is all of these down to 56 here. You could do this. This would be a decent CP to run. It's kind of a basic. That's fine. Then you could do that. So I'll actually run that for now, but 61 Ironclad, 5 Spell Shield, 56 Thick-Skinned, 56 Elemental Defender, and 49 Hardy, and then 43 into Quick Recovery. You could actually take Quick Recovery way down if you wanted to. I just leave it where it is. It's fine. So that's a CP, and that's why I run that CP. Now, now that we've got the CP out of the way, let's go ahead and check out the inventory. So, with the nerfs to enchantments on one-handed weapons, instead of running Crusher on the front bar now, we are running Weakening on front bar. So the Weakening enchantment on the front bar with an infused sword makes it so you reduce target weapon and spell damage by 226 for 5 seconds. Super good. It definitely makes the boss hit less, and it makes it so bosses don't heal as much either. So that's that is a very good ability or enchantment to run on your sword. Now I am running 5-piece Alkosh. I'm running the well-fitted shield for roll dodging. That was something I was doing there, but you could run a sturdy. Just make sure that the enchantment is the same here, so your stats aren't messed up. So I run infused here. We run sturdy shield, and then the lightning staff on the back bar. You don't need to run a lightning staff. This is just what I ran for the dungeons I was running today. But you want to run Crusher on the back bar because it's a two-handed weapon, and therefore you get the maximum amount of enchantment. And this will proc. The way Lightning Wall works is it procs off the first thing hit. So it won't proc on all the ads, but you can give off balance to all the ads, and you'll have Crusher up on at least one. So it's good still, and you could definitely use it for dungeons. Another option is you could run an Ice Staff, either defending or infused. I run infused usually, but sometimes defending is good too for the extra resistances. Typically what I would run here for like a dungeon build, 4-man content, or even trials if you're doing off-tanking or something like that, would be Bloodspawn for the monster set. However, you could run Earthgore as well. Earthgore is good, but it only I don't believe it heals more than one person at a time. So something to keep in mind. Also, Stonekeeper is a nice set as well. Block and attack, you get some recovery. All of these sets that I'm carrying have their applications. Swarm Mothers is good in like VMAL if you're a Vashai tank and you want to get the ads in and you just can't chain them in for whatever reason. Swarm Mothers is a good set to have on you just in case you run into an issue like that. The Engine Guardian is good for things like Dragonstar Arena. And also you could use it in Black Rose Prison. Lord Warden is good. I wouldn't recommend wearing the light. I was wearing light, but whatever. You don't get very much resistances at all with light armor. But Lord Warden is a good set to have on hand. You and your group physical and spell resistance, which is pretty nice. And then Troll King is a nice set to have on you as well. Troll King is good in places like Veteran Cloud Rest for Execute. When everyone gets hit with Baneful Mark, you have your Blood Altar down. If they're below 50% health, their health recovery is increased by 1494 for 10 seconds. Super good. There's other monster sets too, like Sentinel of Ragumas and a couple others that I'm not thinking of right now. But, oh yeah, and Thurvican is really good too. So what I'm wearing here, and what I've been running in dungeons lately, has been Perfected Yolnacrin. When you taunt an enemy, you give yourself and 11 group members Minor Courage for 15 seconds, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 129. This does stack with things like Spell Power Cure and Alarim, which is pretty nice. It also stacks, I believe, with Powerful Assault. Powerful Assault, you don't get the Courage, you just get you and up to 3 allies gain 157 weapon and spell damage for 15 seconds. So it's a different buff, but it does stack with Powerful Assault. So, but you could also run Eben. Eben does increase max health by 1,000 for you and up to 11 other group members. So you pick your poison as a tank. There are other sets too, like Plague Doctor. You could run Plague Doctor and get the maximum health. Plague Doctor is really good for especially a beginner tank. If you want to learn how to tank, I would recommend running Plague Doctor and then another 5-piece on the Jewelry Sword Board. Or you could run Plague Doctor, Jewelry Sword Board, and then something else on the body. But there's a lot of different sets you should be carrying with you. I don't think Hespark is as good as it used to be. But Leeching is a great one to have, just to have it on you. Super good, good sustain set. And also Resilient Yokeda is another good sustain set as well. So there's a lot of different sets that you could get. Green Pact is also good for health recovery and things like that. So yeah, this is what I'm running as a tank, and then let's go to the jewelry here. Now the jewelry, all my jewelry has the same enchantment, the Alchemical Acceleration enchantment. It reduces the cooldown of your potions below this item level by 5 seconds. So any of the essence of whatever potions, the essence potions, their cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. So I have 3 enchantments, so that's 15 seconds quicker that I'll have a potion up. And as we know, the Argonian passive allows you to almost always get a tripod's worth of extra resources. So when you pop a tripod with the Argonian passive, basically you're topping yourself off. And because these are ready so fast, you do need to have a lot of potions at the ready for when you're tanking. But because they're ready so fast, you almost never run out of resources with this kind of tank. And then, of course, all my jewelry is also enchanted with, is transmuted to Harmony. So it increases damage, healing, resource restore, and damage shield strength of synergies you activate by 35%. And the Alkosh 5-piece, when you activate a synergy, you send a shockwave from your position that deals 1,720 physical damage and an additional 12,040 physical damage over 10 seconds, but it also reduces the physical and spell resistance of an enemy hit by 3,010 for 10 seconds. You multiply that by the Crusher, you're knocking their resources down by the major, basically 5,000, a little over 5,000. And then with your Puncture, that's another 5,000. So you're stripping down all their armor to nothing. And you are you're basically rendering their resistances 0 as a tank. That's what you should be doing. So let's get into the skills real quick now that we've got that out of the way. Oh, actually, also I want to make sure I get into this. So for food, we're running the tri food. Increase max health, max magicka, and max stamina. It's just the basic long fin pasty with melon sauce. Just the basic stuff. So that's what we're running. I like to keep a stack on me. I'm starting to run low, so I might have to make another stack, but yeah, that's what I run there. And then so I do run 2 different types of potions for just the straight up healing potions. I run this is called a lingering health pot. So you restore the health immediately, and then you restore 1073 health per second for 16 seconds. So it's basically like it's really hard for so this is a lingering health pot, so I'll take it, and then as I heal, you can see how fast I heal there. So it's not bad. Lingering health pot is a good way to help a healer out, keep you all set. And then I'm also running the tri-pot, the traditional tri-potion. So the traditional tri-potion does health, magicka, and stamina, and that works really well with the Argonian passive as well. And we are looking at a 30-second cooldown, so the recovery by 20% lasts for a full 47 seconds, but I'm ready to pop the potion in 30 seconds. We also run these major expedition potions that also have lingering health attached to them. So I run this for very specific instances, like Veteran Cloud Rest or something like that, when I'm one of the 3 tanks. I pop one of these potions, that way I can move faster and get to my position quicker, and get Zamaja's attention faster. That way the DPS doesn't suffer because of my inadequacies. So yeah, that's what I run. And so let's see here. So we got the skills out of the way, we got the gear out of the way. If you don't have perfected Yolnahkrin, just wear Ebon. Ebon can be farmed pretty easily. It doesn't need to be gold, just make it purple. Try to get the right traits though. Try to run as many reinforced pieces, big pieces as possible, and the small pieces you can go ahead and put sturdy. But that is that, and then the skills. So the skills on front bar. I run Heroic Slash on the front bar. This is a good ultimate regeneration ability. And it also does a little bit of damage, and it does put minor maim on the boss or whatever you're tanking, reducing their damage done by 15% for 12 seconds, which does add up quite substantially. For my recovery, I'm running Balance. Balance, you have to exchange a little health for magicka, but it's a good trade-off, and you don't have to run the Atronach Mundus to get the magicka recovery. You don't have to spec anything into magicka recovery, and you can just run this ability, and it also gives you your major resistances as well. Major Resolve, which is physical and spell resistance, buffed by 5280. For 4 seconds, your healing done and damage shield strength is nerfed by 50% for 4 seconds. So that's the trade-off. We're running Pierce Armor still. You could run Ransack if you're in an all stamina heavy group. I run Pierce Armor because we do a mixed group, and so it does major fracture, major breach. Reducing physical and spell resistance by 5280 for 15 seconds. So this is your taunt. Make sure you keep it up. I would refresh it every 8 to 10 seconds so you don't over taunt. If you refresh it within the first 10 seconds, you're going to over taunt, and then if you're sharing a boss with another tank, that tank's not going to be able to pull aggro. So make sure you don't over taunt. Get a rotation going that does not involve spamming your taunt. Igneous Shield. Call Earth to your defense, blah blah blah. So what this does is it gives a very small shield to you and a couple of your group members. but it also gives you major mending for 3 seconds. And it, because of the Earth and Heart passives, it also gives you a little bit of stamina back. So you want to hit this and then hit your green dragon's blood as a combo, like this. Watch. So I'm going to take my health way down using balance. I'm going to wait for the balance to cool down. Okay, here we go. Wait for the balance cooldown to go away. Now, Igneous and then Green Dragons. As you can see, a big burst heal there. Sometimes you can even get the full, you can get a full heal doing that. So that is kind of why I run that little combo there. Alright, so let's go to back bar. Oh yeah, and front bar, we run aggressive Warhorn. It's been nerfed, but it's still really good, and you should be running it. Every 10 seconds is when Warhorn needs to be cast. It does say that the 10% for 30 seconds thing, but what matters is you and your allies gain major force, increasing your critical damage by 15% for 10 seconds. Warhorn needs to be refreshed every 10 seconds, even though it says 30 seconds for the stats. Just because it's up for 30 seconds does not mean that that major force is not up. So you need to be casting Warhorn every 10 seconds. On the back bar, we run our range taunt. This is kind of our crowd control and buff bar. But we do keep our range taunt on the back bar. I know my previous build I had it on the front bar, but I have since moved my range taunt to the back bar to afford heroic slash on my front bar. So an ally can go ahead and synergize this as well, doing just a little bit of extra damage. Not really important. This is more important, is just being able to taunt. I did try the stamina one and it just wasn't worth it. Running this with balance makes it worth it, in my opinion. Blockade of Storms is our ground dot. This is how we proc our Crusher, especially to the boss, with light attacks and this. So you can light attack whatever you want and get Crusher to proc with your infused staff, but Lightning Wall, like I said, is only going to proc the first enemy it hits. So with Crusher, so keep that in mind. We also run Elemental Drain. This is our flex slot. So here we can put the ability that we need or the group needs. In dungeons, I run Elemental Drain because most healers don't. For whatever, I don't know why, but that's just how it is in dungeons, especially when you're pugging. Most healers are not going to run Elemental Drain. Most healers that I've run into in dungeons, and you should stop this if you're listening, healers. You should stop running Sword and Board. Okay? You should just stop it. No more Sword and Board in dungeons. Alright, so anyway, we got that out of the way. This is another flex spot, Choking Talons. I do swap this in and out for Blood Altar, but Choking Talons seems to be a good one to run in dungeons, just because crowd control is a must. And it also allows for a synergy as well. This is a no-brainer, and also there is no substitute for this. You need this. You need this ability in almost every piece of content as a tank. You need chains. You just do. So level it up and morph it to Unrelenting Grip. This is the one that gives you back your the cost of it if you don't pull the enemy. So if you can't pull the enemy, just do a Templar pull, which is basically range taunt them, then move back a little ways so they come forward. Alright, and then the back bar. Now this is kind of one of those things. You could either run Magma Shell, which I do, or you could run Barrier. It's up to you. I prefer Magma Shell, but Barrier also works just fine. So whichever one you feel comfortable with running, or whichever one you have. Magma Shell is easier to get than Barrier. Alright, so let's go to the passives. Okay, so this is another cool ability. I'll just buy it to show you. Cauterize. It heals you or an ally every 5 seconds for 3,332 health. Kind of a neat ability. Gives you spell critical as well. Kind of, in my opinion, it's a bit of a PvP kind of niche thing, but you could use it in PvE as one of your flex slots, and that would be a nice little heal over time for you as well. Not necessary though. All passives. Take all the passives and everything. This is my advice to you. Take all the passives and everything. And you can read them and check them out yourself, but one cool thing about the passives in here, you want this definitely, because every time you cast an ability, an ultimate ability, you get resources back for every point that the ultimate costs. So the higher cost the ultimate, the more resources you get back. When you cast an Earth and Heart ability, you and your group gain minor brutality. If you are in combat, you also generate 3 ultimate. So every time you cast Igneous Shield, that's happening. And then when you cast an Earth and Heart ability, you restore 990 stamina. So every time you cast Igneous Shield, you're getting a little bit of stamina back as well. So, super helpful. One-handed shield. You want Absorb Missile. We already went over these 2 abilities, but you want Absorb Missile just for a flex slot, just in case. Shield Charge for very specific circumstances. When you need a gap closer, Shield Charge is really good. And then all passives in one-handed shield. You're also going to want, in the destruction tree, you're going to want Crushing Shock as a what the hell do you call it? A flex? Yeah, as a flex. You're going to want Elemental Drain and Blockade unlocked. You're going to want Tri-Focus, because if you're using a Frost Staff, you're going to want that. You're going to want to ignore the Penetrating Magic, that doesn't matter. The Elemental Force you're going to want. And you're also going to want Ancient Knowledge for the Frost Staff ability, but you're not going to want to take, you don't need to take that. Yeah, you don't need to take Destruction Expert. You want all passes in the Heavy Armor tree. Every single one of them. Don't skimp. Fighters Guild, you're going to want Banish the Wicked. You generate 9 ultimate when you kill an undead, Daedra, or werewolf. Super good. I have Bounty Hunter too, just for serial crap. But Mages Guild, these are the passes that you're going to want. You're going to want the Mage Adept, Everlasting Magic, and the Magicka Controller. You can ignore the other passives. Undaunted, for the Blood Altar, you're going to want Sanguine Altar. Trapping Webs is definitely something that you should have. You want that morphed actually, but that's a really good dot for stamina to activate for your flex slot. Inner Rage, definitely. And you're going to want Necrotic Orb. You're probably going to want... Yeah, I think Necrotic Orb is fine. You could do Healing Orb if you wanted to, or the other orb. I guess it doesn't matter. Just an orb you want. And you want both passes in this as well. You're going to want to get your support and assault up to level 6. Support level 6 will unlock Barrier. You're also going to want to get Purge, Guard. You don't need to worry about the passives. Here you're going to want Rapids, Aggressive Warhorn, and Echoing Vigor, and you're also going to want to level Caltrops up to Razor Caltrops, and then you can drop the Lightning Staff if you want to. Or you can keep the Lightning Staff, but you still will run Razor Caltrops in one of your flex spots. The Argonian passive, healing done by 6% increase. This increases your max health by 1,000 and disease resistance by 2310. And then Resourceful is the reason why I run the Argonian. Increases your max magicka by 1,000, and when you drink a potion, you restore 4,000 health, magic, and stamina. So you get like basically a trash pot of every flavor every time you drink a potion. So it makes the resource management really easy on an Argonian. Last but not least, you're going to want to be able to craft your own potions, and you're also going to want your medicinal use to level 3. So that might take a little grind, but you should get it there. And that will pretty much do it for the skills. We did the champion points, we did the skills, we did the inventory. So let's look at the character sheet now. This is where I've got my my abilities at for now. So my max magicka, I got about 16k. Health is at 40, and stamina is always going to be higher than magicka because when you pop a synergy, the higher resource is the one that you will get more of. So we want stamina because we block a lot as a tank, so we want that. Alright, so let's buff up, and I will show you what my recovery looks like buffed up. So we're at 627 magicka recovery, 472 health recovery, and 771 stamina recovery. Our spell and physical resistance get buffed through that. And then also running blood spawn will be well over cap once it procs. So we'll be at about 33 physical resistance, and we'll be at about 36 spell resistance, or 37 spell resistance. So we'll be over the cap in spell resistance, and we'll be right at cap at physical resistance when we proc our blood spawn, because our blood spawn gives us, I believe it's 6,000, yeah, 6450 for 6 seconds. Every 6 seconds you have a 6% chance, so a lot of sixes there. But yeah, that is kind of why we run what we run. You don't need to be at cap to be a good tank. You can literally be, I mean, you could be at like 20k physical and spell resistance and get it fully buffed up to 32 with your blood spawn, and you'd be just fine. So sometimes if you're running a Nord tank, you're actually a little bit too high on resistances, and you can start kind of thinking about, you know, do I want to do damage as a tank? Can I run something else as a tank? You know, that's not heavy armor. Can I run medium armor? Powerful assault becomes a better option as a Nord tank. So there's like things start opening up to you quite a bit the more you tank stuff, and the more you see kind of like the whys and the hows of what's going on with tanking. So anyway, that's my tank. I also wanted to let you know I'm running the Lord here as my Mundus. And the reason why I'm running the Lord is because I don't have to run the Atronach, because I'm running Balance. So Balance gives me my magicka recovery. So I'm able to put the Lord on and have that little bit of extra health. But you don't necessarily have to do that. You can go ahead and run something else. You could run, you know, the stamina recovery. Not that it's a good thing to do that as a tank, but you know, you get the idea. You can run a different Mundus, experiment around, just see what works for you. And I hope this guide helped you out a little bit, and I hope that you learned something. And if I missed anything in this build video, go ahead and leave it in the comments and let me know, and I'll try to respond as fast as I can. But either way, like I said, I hope this helps, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.